New research from InfoQuest, it's an online research company, provides quite an interesting and compelling snapshot of how South Africans are engaging with various forms of betting. Their initial survey in March of 2024, followed by a recent study in April this year, reveals significant shifts in the gambling landscape. While the National Lottery maintains its position as the nation's most popular gambling activity, the data that's been accrued highlights the surging popularity of online gaming and sports betting, especially among young adults between the ages of 18 and 34. Let's talk about the trends and what they mean for the future of gambling in South Africa. And InfoQuest Managing Director Claire Heckrath joins us now for more. Claire, good morning. Thank you very much for waking up with us on AM Report. I think a great place to start is to just talk to us a little bit about the methodology in putting the study together.
It was quite an interesting one. We didn't think there was going to be such an uptake when we did the first survey in 2024. And the results were quite astonishing, especially with younger bettors, or they call themselves gamers. It sounds better. But the incidence of younger gamblers was quite alarming. So we thought we would do a tracker and take another look at how things have changed, if they've changed this year. So a year later, we did another survey. We surveyed 300 respondents across the entire country of different age groups, different demographics. So it was quite interesting to see, because there is definitely a difference between the older gamblers and the younger gamblers.
Yeah.
And although I think that the good thing is that there's a slight dip in the numbers have dropped, but those that are gambling more. So,
I just want to quickly come in just on the sample size. You know, typically, Claire, we engage with, sample sizes of a few thousand or bigger. How convinced are you that this is representative of the gambling community, including what you would call gamers in South Africa?
Usually the sample sizes are bigger, but with a sample and with the questions we were asking, and with the depth of interviewing that we were conducting, 300 was enough to get a good idea, and enough, I think, a robust sample. It was a robust enough sample to get the information that we wanted. So we are happy with that 300.
So the study shows that nearly half of gamblers that you surveyed are betting more frequently than a year ago. What do you believe is driving this? I mean, it's a sharp rise, especially among younger South Africans.
Yeah, we did go a little bit more in depth there, and it looks like, from what we understand, that it's due to the economy. People are trying to make money and not realizing that they can rather also lose money, because we know that the house usually wins. But this is the motivation. It looks to be trying to make a bit of extra money and make ends meet, actually.
So only 37% of gamblers say that they use surplus money. Does this suggest that gambling is becoming a form of financial risk-taking among those already under economic pressure?
Definitely. And I think that also leads us to believe that it's becoming more habitual. So it's a habit that's forming. So maybe they win occasionally, and you're euphoric and pleased about that winning. But if they add it up at the end of the year, probably they will have found that they've lost money. But it is. I think it's becoming more of a habit.
Just to go to some more of your survey results, you also found that 50% of gamblers include gambling inside their monthly budgets. Should this shift in mindset be seen as financial planning or a warning sign of behavioral dependency?
More of a warning sign, I believe. It's taking away funds, we think, from more essential requirements. So they're setting aside possibly where they're cutting down on their grocery bills or not paying certain things to fund their gambling habit. And that seems to be the case, because there have been, from what we see, no real increases in their incomes to suggest that they are able to fund it, really.
Wow. Well, 1 in 5 gamblers are seeking help, or at least trying to do something, let's say, about their, I don't want to call it an addiction, but their dependency in a way. It would
Yes.
seem mostly from unqualified sources. And what does that say or reveal about the access to and the perceived credibility of formal support systems?
I think that there's not enough information out there for people, or adequate information about where they can go, and they're often they have to travel a long way to seek help. So they could get telephonic help, but this isn't always made known to them. So people feel lost, especially when they have become more addicted. I definitely think that there's a case of addiction, especially amongst younger people. We're also seeing that it's easy to do. It's gambling online or gaming has become an easy pastime. When you're on your cell phone, nobody really knows what you're doing. So you could be on social media, but it could be gambling. And I think it's becoming an antisocial problem as well. And the target, I think, also is marketing. Marketing are targeting the youth, and also being more aggressive in their marketing of gambling sites and gambling. So,
well, let's dig into that one, Claire, because sports betting, I understand, shows the highest frequency, and they are right there. They're able to capture that imagination. And you talked about the aggressive marketing campaigns that they lay on. How much does that play a role in normalizing this type of behavior?
A big role, actually, because even though they say no, and under 18s can gamble and all of that, it also makes it quite a draw card, because I think, in a way, it makes it for younger people, it makes it, and when I say younger, I don't mean teenagers, I'm meaning in that 18 to 34 age group. It's kind of like I'm doing something that I shouldn't, but it's quite a fun thing to do. So it's also becoming quite a problem that I think that the marketing is aiming at that as well.
Claire, what you found, even in the sample, suggests a worrying level of underreporting when it comes to borrowing money or to losing control. So how can researchers and policymakers better capture the full extent of, the gambling problem in South Africa?
I think it has to be a much more in-depth study. This just is, I think, touches the tip of the iceberg, really, and it does show that there is a concern. So there needs to be more research. Gambling bodies need to get more involved. I think it's definitely a case of a lot more involvement and legislation.
So what policy shifts would you recommend, or even interventions, to prevent online gambling from becoming a full-blown public health crisis in the country?
I think there have to be more controls about the spending. I mean, we know that there's a lot of illegal gambling as well, where the money's leaving the country, going to on gambling sites internationally. So I think that there can be a lot done around that. It makes it easier to spend. And especially with underage people, there needs to be a tighter control about younger people who are actually gambling. And I think there should be more responsibility.
When we think, especially when you talked about gaming, I mean, I thought about my son, and I'm sure for anyone, who has kids in that sort of age group, you think, they're behind closed doors for a long time.
Exactly.
How much, well, aside from and we know just physiologically and psychologically, the dopamine hits and the reasons that people continue to do this repetitive behavior, especially if there's a reward factor to it, you really get sucked into this, into this other world. And I think perhaps part of the responsibility is what's possible inside the home to check in on those kids and see what they're doing, and how dependent they're becoming.
Definitely, and peer pressure is huge as well. So you've got a few people in your group that are maybe doing this and saying, "Give it a try. Come on, it's not that bad." And I think that is the thing. There needs to be control. Do you know what your children are actually spending? And it's not just a game. Their money's going into it.